Apollo 8, Houston, we're picking you up now over Bermuda. I did not copy your readback after Delta VC. That was the last quantity I received.
Roger, Houston. Can you give us the sextant information again, please? The sextant star information?
That's affirmative. Sextant star 06. Shaft 2027. Trunnion 250. Over.
Welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. In front of the camera today, I have a very cool Omega Speedmaster. This is one that Omega has been, they've been producing for some time now, but I think it's one of the more surprising or underrated Omega models or Speedmaster models in the market. At first glance, this just looks like a fun blackout style racing chronograph. It has a rally style leather strap. It has a bold color scheme. It has the old school checkered style indexing on the dial, but it's a lot more than that. First off, this is crafted out of black ceramic. So the case, the bezel, the pushers, the crown, the case back, even the strap hardware, it looks like DLC coated stainless steel because there are brushed and polished areas, but it's all ceramic. It's very light. It's very hard to scratch and will look minty fresh. At least these elements will look minty fresh for a long, long time. Now, second, in addition to good lume on the hands and markers, which is always nice on a chronograph, this has a lumed tachymeter scale and a lumed Omega signature within the crown. Lumed crowns seem to be more prevalent on micro-brand watches, but I think it is awesome that Omega is doing that with a premium product here in this dark side of the moon. Another cool thing about this watch is the dial and movement integration. So you'll note that the dial side has some open work elements to where you can see part of the caliber, some of the components of the caliber beyond, but the sub-registers will rest on a detailed laser ablated representation of the moon, and this will depict the Earth side or the front-facing hemisphere of the moon. And then if you flip it over, the movement will have some of the same elements, this texturized laser ablated moon pattern for some of these bridges and components. And this is different from the depiction on the dial side. This geography represented will be the dark side or the back side of the moon, and I really like that. This is where the model gets its name from. This is officially called the Dark Side of the Moon Apollo 8 edition. You can see that depicted on the case back. This watch will commemorate the ambitious mission of Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders. 55 years ago, in late December of 1968, this crew traveled to the moon in Apollo 8, which was the first time in history that humans entered lunar orbit. And it took nearly 3 days for this crew to reach the moon. And then Apollo 8 orbited the moon 10 different times. They were the first people to see the far side of the moon, and they were the first to witness an Earthrise, if you're familiar with that very famous photograph. On Christmas Eve during this mission, they broadcast to the Earth, and they read the creation story from Genesis, and until that date, it was the singular most watched television broadcast in history. I just think that's so cool.
We are now approaching lunar sunrise, and for all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
In my opinion, this mission was quite momentous. It really helped pave the way for Apollo 11's successful moon landing that would take place just less than a year later. So this Blackout Omega, it subtly celebrates this amazing flight with an amazingly cool Speedmaster, and this is done with a play on light and dark, and then with those moon laser ablated patterns being depicted and integrated into the front and rear facing parts of this watch. Now, powering the watch is the Omega Cal 1869. This is a modified 1861 that has the same specifications, so it will have cam lever actuation, no hacking seconds, 48 hours of power reserve, and manual winding. Given the mix of laser ablated plates and brushed and polished components, I think it has a very pleasant appearance and is well worth the inclusion of the sapphire caseback. Now let's take a look at the strap. This strap is sharp. The stitching and the perforation holes here are yellow to match the accents found on the dial and in the bezel. This is long, this is comfortable, but that said, I bemoan the fact, and I do this in every ceramic Speedmaster video, but I wish that there was a ceramic or a hybrid ceramic bracelet option, or at least a fitted rubber strap from the OEM. The strap here is good, but I still consider it the weakest aspect of this package. Now, rounding out the details, this watch has a proud box-shaped flame fusion sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coatings on both sides of the crystal. They do a nice job at minimizing reflections and enhancing clarity. The watch will come in a sharp and heavy black presentation box. The retail price for this watch is $10,700. Now, where could this be improved? I think two things jump to my mind, and I mentioned my preference for an OEM strap or bracelet option, a different one. But the one thing that I think will stand out, at least to modern Omega customers, will be the lack of movement normalities for Omega. So, although different in finish and color, this movement is Lamania based. It beats at 3 Hertz. It does not hack. It's not a certified chronometer. It's a pretty simple movement outside of the appearance here. Now, modern Omega customers have become used to tri-level coaxial escapements, silicone hairsprings, meta certifications, and of course, hacking seconds. But this watch is so cool that I don't consider it a deal breaker, but I do really like the specification and certification of a modern 3861 caliber, so I do think it would be really nice if Omega took the upgrades from that movement and finished them just like this 1869. I think that would be a nice thing. I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know if they're just going to discontinue this or if they will upgrade and continue the model. I hope they do that. But I'll mention one other thing in closing for those of you still here. Most watch enthusiasts want to try a Speedmaster Professional at some point in their collecting journey. My first Speedy was a Moon watch, and I think a lot of you can agree with that. It's almost like a rite of passage with us watch collectors. We have to try a stainless steel moon watch. I almost said moon swatch, excuse me. But the 2-counter segment of the Speedmaster catalog is massively underrated. The meteorite gray side of the moon is probably my favorite Omega ever, any version of the Speedmaster. And then I recently reviewed a blue side of the moon, a Venturine moon phase, that is just absolutely incredible. It really is a work of art. And then you consider this dark side of the moon, Apollo 8. Man, this one is amazing. It's surprising. It's fun. It's well executed. So I want to say, if my budget permitted, I would want all three. And if Omega ever started making ceramic bracelets that match, or a hybrid ceramic bracelet that would match, I think that would tip me over the edge, and maybe I would become a 2-counter ceramic Speedy collector, and I would forget Rolex, I would forget other brands, because these are just so interesting, dynamic, and neat. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't sleep on these thinking you need a safe moon watch. The moon watch is great, but I think these are funner. So maybe do what a lot of collectors do, what I'll probably end up doing, because I've tried the moon swatch, but I would say try the moon swatch first. Oh my goodness, no. I've got moon swatch on the mind. Try the moon watch first. Try the moon watch first, and then branch out to some of these ceramic 2-counter Speedies. I definitely think you will not regret doing that. So thank you for watching today. Please ask me any questions and I will respond to you in the comment section. If you are shopping Omega, please reach out to my recommended Omega authorized dealer, which is Exquisite Timepieces, a family-owned brick-and-mortar AD in Florida. Tell Nick, John, Mariana, or Jenya that you found them through my video. If you enjoyed this, please like it, and if you want to see more varied watch content, please subscribe. Thanks.